the group of 5 representative, I'm going to go with the Tulane Green Wave. I think they win the American. I think they're the highest ranked group of 5 candidate to make the college football playoff. And that is how the 12 teams will be seeded. So we will have each of the first round games will be Tulane, the 12 seed, the American Conference champion, the group of 5 representative, going to South Bend to take on Notre Dame. LSU, the 9 seed, going out to Tempe to play the Arizona State Sun Devils. Number 10, Oregon, going down to Athens to take on Georgia, the 7 seed. And then 11 seeded Georgia Tech heading up to Columbus. Ohio State will be hosting a first-round playoff game once again this season, and I think that is how the first round will set up. Now, who is going to advance in the college football playoff? I will have the 6 seed Ohio State beating Georgia Tech in their home playoff game in round 1, advancing to take on Clemson. I will have Georgia advancing as the 7 seed at home to take on the Oregon Ducks. I will have the 3 seed Georgia advancing over Oregon as the 7 seed to take on Penn State as the 2. I will have LSU going into Tempe to beat Arizona State and set up a SEC, an all SEC matchup in the second round against the number 1 seeded Alabama. And I will have the 5 seed Notre Dame advance over Tulane to take on Texas in the second round, the SEC runner-up, the Longhorns. And on to the semifinals, I will have Ohio State upsetting Clemson in the second round, heading to the semifinals for the second straight year to advance to take on Penn State, who I will have beating Georgia in the second round. So we will set up a third matchup between Ohio State and Penn State. Alabama takes care of LSU in the second round. The 1 seed carries on, and Texas, the 4 seed, will advance against Notre Dame, the 5 seed. I think that will be a very closely contested game, but I will have Texas just squeaking it out to set up the semifinal matchups of Ohio State against Penn State, the 6 seed against the 2, and Alabama, the number 1 overall seed, against Texas. Another rematch of 2. I have 2 conference championship rematches in the national semifinals. The 1 versus the 4, Alabama versus Texas, and the 2 versus the 6, Ohio State against Penn State. Moving on, Penn State will beat Ohio State once again to make it to the national championship game as the 2 seed. And I will have Alabama beating Texas in the rematch of the SEC championship game. I will have Alabama as the number 1 overall seed to make the national championship game. And my projection for the 2025 college football playoff national champion will be the Alabama Crimson Tide. I have Alabama beating out Penn State in the national championship game, and the Crimson Tide return to glory for the first time under Kalen DeBoer, the first time since Saban left. Kalen DeBoer is all the way back with Alabama, and I think there's just too many weapons on defense. That receiver room, I think, could go 6 deep and have a lot of weapons for Ty Simpson. Now, as of recording this, Jam Miller will be out for the first few games of the season. He did injure his collarbone over the weekend in a scrimmage. But I don't think I'm going to stick with my prediction. Even when I saw that today before recording, I still think Alabama has enough defensively and enough offensive weapons to really take over the SEC, win the SEC, be the number 1 overall seed, and they are my prediction to win the college football playoff in 2025. And that is going to do it for this episode of Love for the Game. I really appreciate you guys all listening or watching. Remember to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X at LFTGpod01. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe on this video. And remember to check us out over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And thank you once again to Squad Blitz for sponsoring this episode. Let me hear your predictions.